Hello, my friends. This is Lada from AstroladaOfficial, and today my guest is a teacher, anthroposophist, and many things. I mean, he has so many talents and gifts. Is Theo. Theo always comes here with incredible esoteric topics. We've done videos on reincarnations, past lifetimes, how to recognize the what kind of past life you had by the signs of the current life. We've done videos with him about educating children according to spiritual principles. We've done videos with him about foods and spirituality. So now today the topic is about astrobiology. It sounds very intriguing. I don't think I've ever heard this before, so I'm very excited what you have to present to us, Theo. And by the way, I'll put the link below. Whoever wants to connect with Theo as a teacher, as an advisor, he's also biodynamic. What is it called? Biodynamic. Uh,
Grower, I would say.
yes.
Yeah.
And of course, all the knowledge he shares is based on anthropology, the teachings of Christian esoteric science, kind of from Rudolf Steiner. And today, the topic, can you lead us a bit into it?
Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be welcome again. And the topic is how do we relate to our science and to the spiritual views that we have from astrology, which is the basics of anthroposophy, spiritual science, which is an amazing correlation between the two. And I want to touch on a few subjects because it's quite complicated. But how nowadays our soil is depleted from certain minerals and elements. Because of that, we're not able to synthesize certain vitamins. And from there on, distractions in our daily rhythm with our psychology. And that leads to a complete disconnection between soul faculties that we have because the soul comes and tries to interact with the body which is missing elements. It's like there's a saying, a pianist can play on a piano as good as the piano is being made. So
Mm.
if it's not well tuned, the pianist cannot really do his best. And the same between our body and our soul and spirit. If our body is not well nourished, I mean, special spiritual teachers are able to do these things, of course. But Rudolf Steiner was mentioning that in future there will be such issues with our health that our soul will have difficulty interacting completely with the body.
Oh, that's
And
what also all spiritual teachers say, like Bean Suduno, that we both know that he says that when they went to entered his occult school, he said, "Don't think we'll be learning to do magic here. We'll learn first how to eat and what to eat."
yeah,
Because all spiritual path starts with the body and purifying it and putting it in order. So obviously that's very important.
yeah. And it's curious because if one is not able to manage his diet, his surroundings, how is he going to manage, let's say, 100 people if you are leading a company or if you're trying to build a community? It starts with the smallest things that we're able to manage, and then we can grow into bigger surroundings that we're managing or working with other people. So today, I think most of the listeners know about the seven planets and the seven relations with the planets. This is the basic astrological planets we're talking about: Mercury, Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn as the last one. That's why I'm going to comment. Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, I'm not going to speak about them. And how the 12 signs also have their related elements. Because from alchemy, which is part of astrology, we know that Mercury has the metal mercury, and Venus has copper, Mars has iron, the moon has silver, gold is to the sun, tin has Jupiter, and lead has Saturn. Okay, that's fine. And there's different relations how gold is related to our blood flow, and silver is good for our immune system. But I'm going to place my stress on the 12 signs actually, because I think the 7 planets and the metals are more complicated than the 12 elements. And here I'm going to try to share the screen. I'm going to show you guys a photo. Can you tell me, do you see it?
Yes, perfect.
Does it zoom in? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe the letters are not very widely known. Let's start with Aries. So Aries is the sun zodiac sign together with Leo. Not because they're ruled by it, but because they're sun energetic. They have sun energy. Of course, Aries has Mars energy and etc. I'm taking them from another point of view now. So let's take Aries and Leo. We have Aries actually is related to the mineral element called silica, silicon,
Yeah.
which is in all the sand and all the glass windows that you guys have. And it's especially important for your eyes, skin, hair, nails. That's where we have it. So if we take from that point that Aries rules the element silica on Earth, people who are missing silica in their diet, they are missing the power of the representer of Aries, the fire in their life, a little bit of the structure, not the Saturn or Capricorn way of structure, but something that puts them upwards and keeps them standing. Because silica also controls the nerve system. It nourishes the nerve system. As we know, Aries being the head of the head, controls the brain. And if we have people from the Aries, representatives of Aries, or have strong Aries in their chart, they will be needing more silica in their diet.
I'm just goosebumps because I have 4 planets in Aries, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, and Mars. And a year ago, I started taking the richest element of silica, which is diatomaceous earth. It's like powder. And my health transformed. It's like no bloating, no cravings, energy, it's incredible. Like I was drawn probably intuitively to this, but nothing has helped me and changed me as much. So, wow, immediately confirmation here.
I remember you telling me half a year ago that you're taking it. I was like thinking, oh yeah, now she's on the track.
Oh, wow.
Uh, Also, there is another way you can take it homeopathically. I mean, it doesn't need to be like fully in your diet, but it's interesting with Silica and Aries. Rudolf Steiner gave a particular homeopathic remedy for everybody on the planet,
Mhm.
because the structure of the human being will be going more into a silica based. Because now, if we look up down to the right, we have Scorpio, and Scorpio is related to carbon. And everything on Earth made from sugar, from amino acids, it's made from carbon.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yes.
And this is the magic of the alchemy. You make the carbon into a diamond, into a purified diamond.
Mhm.
Coal, I mean, coal from into a diamond. But Rudolf Steiner says that we're moving away from that, and we are moving into the light. And because silica, and we know that glass allows light to enter, and all the crystals
It's a
that
crystalline structure. Silica is crystalline structure.
exactly. So we are moving into a more noble part of the finer etheric and physical body. They call it the light body in esoteric teachings. We're moving into the silica, and he knew that our diet. I was observing how all the wheat grains, bread, pasta, rice, and etc. Rye, the industry is taking the silica away, because in a grain, it's the little whiskers on the grain that are actually silica based. And when they're taking it out because of machinery work, we don't have enough silica in our diet.
Wow.
And the silica is very hard element to get from the soil,
Yes.
because of different reasons that I'm not going to get into. So silica, Aries. Let's move to the next one,
So
because
if you're missing the Aries qualities of inspiration, bravery, take silica. What is
yeah,
that? And life
even
force. And
yeah,
life,
the life force,
yeah.
even a little bit. getting hold of your own thoughts,
Mhm.
because now with the digitalization and computers, the industry is taking our mind off of our thoughts. It's putting them to consummation, to going to the cinema and etc. Too much. I mean, people can relax and do these things, but not as much as is being nurtured now. So
Mhm.
it can help you really stand towards yourself.
No, that has been my experience. Like, if my thoughts were hijacked and distracted before, it's been since I've been taking, I take like a couple of spoons, big amounts every day. I felt my mind is focused, like everything. It's so true.
Yeah. The next one we go is Taurus. Taurus is a big guy. I mean, and he's related to nitrogen. Nitrogen is the element that makes amino acids and proteins. So it's the muscle mass. That's why Taurus is the big animal. And nitrogen, I think we have enough nitrogen in our diet. Usually, I haven't seen such an issue, even only if they overdo nitrogen. Here, it's more with overdoing it because some people do eat more protein than they need, and that suppresses the possibility of clear thinking. Because even though Taurus is related to the lower part of the head, it's
Hmm.
related to the willing part, the back brain. So
Hmm.
he's doing a lot of things, and that's why he forfeits his thinking and goes into the doing.
Hmm.
So if we have authorities who's eating too much because they're enjoying, etc., and they're building mass,
Hmm.
but they're not building a muscle mass, for Taurus is very important to do things, not to go and lift weights only because they're strong people, but to actually manage their will into doing things which are not empty, like just lifting a weight with no reason. So
Hmm.
nitrogen management is more through actually managing how to use the energy, not to eat only calories which are not being used. Here we can enter a lot into the diagonal between nitrogen and carbon with Scorpio and Taurus, but I just want to open the topic to all the elements first, and maybe then, if we have the time, we'll look them more deeply. Uh, the next one is Gemini. Gemini brings the light. I mean, it's the brightest days of the year are then. So he's related to sulfur, and we know that sulfur is the one that fires the match. Sulfur is the element that helps the previous one, which is nitrogen. So for us to be able to make amino acids properly, we need sulfur in our diet. And there's not many foods actually rich in sulfur. It's eggs, which
Hmm.
is, you can see the relationship between Taurus and Gemini here. In eggs, we have a lot of protein and sulfur, so we can actually make the protein. And then other foods related to sulfur and Gemini are all the cabbage family, all the cruciferous vegetables.
Well, the one that makes you smell.
Yeah.
Like the gassy ones.
Totally, totally. The mustard family. And I mean, one can see, even if he wants to relate it to the color of Gemini, at the yellowish, because sulfur is yellow. I mean, the egg, we have the yellow part. When a cabbage plant makes its flowers, they're yellow. So it's quite interesting here. We can also relate them to somewhere to colors because the element actually brings the color out. Um, and not enough sulfur in our diet can make skin issues and skin problems.
Mm.
So that's where we balance. Sulfur is also not good to be overtaken because then it pushes out again the brain activity. It brings more of fire, of wanting to do things. So it's always a balance between them. Also, it really enters the thinking process, which Gemini, we know that he's strong with that.
But if someone has strong Gemini, maybe they need a bit more sulfur than others.
It really depends because it could be that they need the opposite, which is magnesium.
To
Because
calm
if
them
you're,
down. Yeah.
yes,
Not to
exactly.
overstimulate their brain. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not about if you are doing a lot, just take more so you're able to do it, but actually harmonize the fact that you're overstimulating yourself, because we help a process when we rest in that process. If we continue pushing that process, maybe after a year, we're going to burn out on that process. So it's
Mm,
actually Gemini is being helped by Sagittarius by
mm.
giving magnesium so he can relax the immune system, and then it's more productive. So productive and active are quite different. Very active doesn't mean that you're productive. It means that you're just doing stuff. But
It,
if they're productive, it depends on what you're doing. I think this is a very beautiful process of how the elements work, and they show again the relationship between the signs. And it's even more curious how, when you enter, let's talk about Aries for a second. Aries and Silica and Iron with Mars, which we know that is the ruler of Aries. When we work with iron and silicon, they really clear the blood system, because the blood system empowers the silica in the nervous system and the vice versa. And if we take clean products like nettle, nettle is a very sun plant. So a sun plant which has a lot of iron inside. So you're boosting the qualities of Aries with a plant which is related to Mars, but is dominated by the sun. And now you have a double whammy, as they call it, into feeding your faculties of Aries.
mm.
Uh, but I just wanted to observe how the planet's element relates to the element of Aries. Now we're jumping to Cancer. Cancer, my star sign, that I'm not treating very well, is the first day is the brightest day of the year. They're sharing it with Gemini. And again, the brightness of Phosphorus. And Phosphorus, we know in Greek mythology also, Phosphorus means the light bringer. So it's very interesting that the most enclosed sign, as the animal presented, the crab, is the bringer of the biggest light, actually, and it's in the lightest day of the year starts. And it actually rules the chest, but the phosphorus is used in the square of Cancer, which is Aries, in the middle of the brain, because phosphorus lights up every nerve in our nervous system. So if we don't have enough phosphorus, we cannot really produce, I'd say, very profound thoughts. And being able to keep that fire of thinking and with the imagination to make images, it's phosphorus who allows us to have strong imagination.
And Cancer is one of the most imaginative signs.
Being a water sign,
Yeah.
yes. And here we can see the diagonal again working. Aluminium in our diet,
Which is
our
Capricorn,
soils.
the
Sorry?
opposite. Which is
Yeah,
Capricorn, the opposite.
yeah. In when we cook with it, so we don't even know that we're putting in aluminium, we're depressing our sensitivity, we're depressing our imagination, and we're putting ourselves into a kind of a Capricorn structured dead states of mental thinking,
Mhm.
which we're adding. So we're everywhere in our surroundings. Capricorn is entering. And then the sensitivity towards other people, towards being empathetical, or even towards our own life is being depressed absolutely unconsciously from our own doings or from the industry.
Don't
And
tell
some
me that it's like, I think some dark spirits are behind that. It's just like they're removing silica from the food, which allows the crystalline body to be built. The same way they're adding aluminum to suppress the phosphorus, which creates the imaginative thinking.
Exactly. And here I'm going to show you how even Libra, here we have the cross of the cardinals
Mhm.
being ruled in our society by Capricorn, which you know, and I think is being ruled by Ahriman, because we always have in all traditional occult drawings, we always have a lamb and a goat.
Mm.
It's always the lamb with the spiraled and the goat with the straightforward horns. It's very interesting. And in that times when they were drawing these pictures 2000 years ago, we didn't even haven't heard about Ahriman, and only in Persia when they talked about Ahriman just a bit. So he was not yet present. It was Lucifer acting. And
Mhm.
Lucifer, as I thought in and I mentioned in previous podcasts that we did, is related to Gemini
Mhm.
with the thinking and with the big uh, talking a lot of things that are not always very helpful, just putting information everywhere in the world, a lot of information, overflooding. So that's Phosphorus. Then we go to Leo, and Leo has the first element in the periodic table. And here I also very beautifully recognize how Leo is absolutely related, ruled by the sun, because the first element comes from the sun. It's the very first thing that makes heat come, and then when our body is made in the womb, the first thing that the mother makes is blood, and the blood starts flowing, and let's say it flows like a spiral, and it flows and flows and flows and flows, and on the second day it makes an organ. Which
Mhm.
organ do you think that is?
The heart.
Absolutely. From the blood flow, it forms a structure which
Mm.
is the heart, and the heart is actually a spiral. It's a
Yes. They
spiral
found
organ.
they've seen the doctors unfolding a heart like a spiral.
Exactly.
The initial
Exactly.
shape was given by the spinning of the blood of the mom. Oh,
Yes.
wow, goosebumps again. Incredible.
This 7 years ago, I was meeting with an Italian anthroposophist, who is partly clairvoyant, and he said Christ lives in the blood,
That's what
not in
it is.
the because I always thought it's the heart, of course, but he lives in the movement of the blood. So he is not, it's a non-physical, it's a thing that's happening to a something. So it's the process of moving of the blood.
Wow.
And it's almost the Christ when we are born, when we are made, the Christ makes the heart
A heart.
through his movement of the blood. Extraordinary.
Oh my God, this is so deep. People can meditate for to make such connections in science, in physics, in biology through this, and
Yeah.
astrology, of course.
And
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 of course, the Leo is the most powerful sign. We know that in
yeah,
astrology. And
yeah,
they describe that a vortex, like you said, the heart is like a spiral.
yeah,
They create the toroid shape of moving
yes,
of energy like
yeah,
that. That's why the heart creates the aura, the energy influence of a person around.
yeah. And you can relate again to what you just said. The blood, which has iron, which we go to Mars, when blood moves, it makes a magnetic field because it's full of iron. So the iron in our blood is actually helping to that magnetic field being made.
Yes. Yeah. Iron is magnetic as well.
Yeah, ferromagnetic. He's quite special.
Oh, I
So
forgot to ask you, where do people find phosphorus to eat? Is it
phosphorus, it's
like,
in all the flowers,
oh,
which is not very usual for our diet.
so it's very rare to have.
Yeah, I mean, you have it in certain amounts in every vegetable food and in fish and
Mm.
all the seafoods a lot. In seafoods, you have it a lot. But in people who don't eat, like they're fully vegetarians or vegans, in plants, and there's a lot of edible flowers, a lot,
Mm.
you just cannot buy them in the market because nobody sells them.
So if you
Uh,
want to increase your ability to visualize, which is this imaginative ability to see pictures in your head, it's you
yeah,
have to try the fish or
yeah.
or
Or for silica and phosphorus, it's a homeopathy that I recommend personally
okay.
in 30C. because when you go to above 20, you start working with the mind and the head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, hydrogen, the first element, and actually hydrogen is a ruler of a lot of things because the alkalinity and how was it called, the other one? Киселинност.
Acidity.
Acidity, alkalinity and acidity are managed by how much hydrogen you have there. So he's always there. The part of Leo is always there in the heart of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is no wonder that the Christ's favorite student was John, who was laying on his chest, which is in that moment was a Leo sign for me,
Mm-hmm.
being on the chest.
Where can we find hydrogen in foods?
Hydrogen, you don't look for hydrogen.
That's it.
Hydrogen is everywhere. You don't try to make more hydrogen. It's just uh, the oxygen, which is the opposite of Leo, that we need to manage enough.
Oh,
Because, yeah, again, because of the opposition of Aquarius and Leo, oxygen. And here, how we can help hydrogen management or our Leo strength is going to a very clean place to breathe,
clean air.
or having a workout so it can opens our cells, it opens our breathing for more quality intake of oxygen. Um, so that's going to the mountains, going up, hiking, etc. Just going to a clean air that helps introduce the power of Leo, uh, as well as meeting Aquarius in the middle. Because it can again happen too much energy, too much willing, and then the intellect of Aquarius kind of goes down because you're only willing, willing, willing. So that's around Leo and hydrogen. Now, Virgo is a very special, and it has a relationship with two very special elements. It's sodium and potassium. And potassium we have in our diet from the leafy greens and from vegetables mostly, and vegetables and fruits. But sodium we have from eating salt, any kind of salt. It's the basics, the basic of sodium. And that doesn't mean it's, some people say, oh, it's not good to take too much salt. Actually, salt is quite important for our thinking process because it works with the activation of the phosphorus up with the crab. And here we can relate again, they're making a sextile, Virgo and Cancer. And that's again, the elements are also making a sextile. And even if we look at the trines with Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus, these elements are related to nitrogen, sodium, and aluminium. Even though aluminium is being taken as bad, it's needed in certain amounts in our body. These three elements will be related to common biochemical reactions in the body. So if I'm a Virgo and I'm not doing well as a Virgo, maybe I'm not living into my sun sign, it doesn't necessarily mean I need sodium and potassium. It might mean that I need to balance my trine elements
Mm-hmm.
or my opposition element, which is chlorine with Pisces. Because sodium, potassium, chlorine, calcium are the alkaline making elements in the body. And if one is in excess, it pushes down the others. And we know that we have chlorinated water. Some countries don't have anymore, some cities don't have it. But if we always intake chlorine somehow in our diet, sodium and potassium are being pushed off. Then eating salt is not necessarily a bad thing, especially if it's from a natural source without being added certain elements or being restructured and destroyed. And sodium and potassium, they have a pump into the biology in our bodies called the sodium potassium pump. They're working together to move fluids and to, if you have swollen feet, something swollen, or you have problems with the lymphatic system, First place one would look is the sodium-potassium ratio in the body. Either you're eating too much salt and you're holding water, and that could be even in foods that you don't know that there's salt, or it's because you don't have enough potassium, which is related to the letter K. I don't have it written here. And potassium moves the fluids. So the sodium, potassium, but one thing holds fluids, another thing takes them away. And
Yes.
if you have problem of sweating and you don't sweat, you need potassium. So you can move the fluids away. If you're not detoxing properly, again, you just have an issue with moving the fluids. And it's quite interesting that Virgo, who rules the health, it actually has these two elements who actually hold the lymphatic system, which is always also ruled by Pisces,
Mhm.
the lymphatic system of moving of the fluids. But the element that does them, it's actually being held by Virgo. So
Mhm.
it's always the opposites need to complement each other. This just mentioning this table is not directly given by Steiner. His student actually walks that path, and I think he probably confirms it in that situation that's not being documented, if it does. But it's being used into biodynamic and anthroposophy and anthroposophical medicine for, I think, more than 50 years. And
Can I
it's
add something? Because Virgo for me is the weakest element. There is a way to take your seven planets that you have, just up till Saturn, and see how many in cardinal, fixed, water, fire, air, and calculate which is the missing, the ones that you have the least. So I'm missing mutability and earth the most, which is
hmm
Virgo. And
hmm
I eat a lot of salt, like my body needs it.
yeah,
And I don't keep water in me. So it's that, I guess, intuitively again. And everyone tells me, you eat so much salt and sea salt and whatever. I crave it. And
yeah,
I understand now why, because I'm missing Virgo element the most. And that's why probably I need a bit more of that.
yeah. I think it's also because people who are related to a lot of mental work, and
Mm,
we know what you're doing all day long, they they excrete all the salts from their body
mm,
because they light up thoughts all the time. So people who are a lot digitally working or sitting down or doing thinking work, writing down, they do need salt more than others. And if they start pushing their body of thinking a lot without having enough salt, then issues start showing themselves because the brain the nervous system starts looking for salt, so you can activate all the time that spark that I mentioned.
wow, incredible.
Even people with migraines, they actually need to eat more salt because the migraine comes out not because of issues, but because the nervous system is working a lot and it starts saying, I am burning off.
Hmm.
So they need salt and vitamin B that if we have the time, I'm gonna mention later on. So that's relationship. Thank you. When you enter in like that with examples in your life, it's very helpful to kind of
I'm
see.
starting to see how it works. If you have too much of one sign, like I have too much Aries, or too little of one sign, you have to pay attention to that element. Maybe increase it or decrease it, maybe using too much of that element, so you need to add more. Maybe you don't have enough, so you need
Yeah,
to add some or decrease
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's again, it's the science of reading a chart, all the relations that you have to make because of their trines. It's the same here. It's just if you only know the activity of these elements, then you can do a natal chart on the biochemistry of your body
Wow.
by that. Then we go into Libra, and that's where it gets important. Now we made the half circle. Libra being the opposition of Aries. Silica is the outer structure of a very, uh, let's say, a spiritual essence. I just call it like that. Calcium is the basics of the inner physical essence. Here, they're again next to each other. Carbon with Scorpio and calcium with Libra. They're very physically oriented. They're like a foundation for the physical world. calcium is nearly everywhere like carbon, because all the sugars that are made are related to these two. So here Libra helps better sugar management and making a fruit sweeter in a nice way, helping to the process of Scorpio, which they're next to each other. They're not really having any positive aspects, but they're related to
A, a flow of.
to a process, flow of a process together. And here, if you are very spiritual, again, mm, with phosphorus, with sulfur, with silica, even sometimes with chlorine of Pisces, calcium is going to ground you. It's going to bring you to the earth. So in anthroposophy, calcium is related to the etheric body, kind of, to the etheric physical body, and silica is related to the astral I, ego.
Mm.
So calcium helps sleep because it gives your body resting. It helps your body to rest. That's why people who work out a lot here in Bulgaria, they say, drink a cup of milk just before you go to bed. So it helps you gain your sleep. And again, we know from previous podcasts that milk is related to the etheric body. So here we see that nourishment again of the finer bodies and of the lower bodies.
Mm.
So people with calcium, which are not able to make decisions to step on one place, which is because that's their part of the game. They need to make decisions and they need to weigh one and other. It could be this silica helping them to make a choice, or this calcium of being able to make the right measurement of the choice. So I'm going to touch on that just very slightly. Then we have Scorpio and carbon that I mentioned, which one does not, you cannot intake that. That's not a supplement. It's in every plant. So if a person is on a diet that doesn't have a lot of plants, there's quite a few now. It's just to balance, because carbon and nitrogen need to be balanced between each other. If you have too much nitrogen, your body's overburning. Then you need to eat salads and broccoli and root vegetables and etc. So you balance the protein in yourself because of the stomach acid. And we know that Scorpio actually has issue um, with the system of digestion and of excretion. So it's really having fiber, which is carbon.
Mm.
Scorpios need fiber to help the digestive process. And it could be soft fiber, which is all the fruits, or harder fiber, which is all the vegetables.
Yeah.
And again, we have the beginning of the mouth, of the chewing, could be an issue for Scorpios because they don't chew enough, the Taurus part, and then they have digestion problems. So even the process of allowing the protein breakdown in the mouth of the nitrogen, that helps the stomach and the excretion of Scorpio.
Mm.
And then we know that Scorpio has the ruler of Pluto, which is really the deeper excretion. So something to be properly excreted, it needs to be properly chewed.
And like in psychology as well, like when you're stuck with feelings that are poisoning you, and you need to, uh, what do psychologists do? They make you chew over those feelings, basically.
Yeah,
Think
yeah.
them over.
To review them again,
Yeah.
yeah. Just retaste them.
Yeah, retaste them.
Here we enter magnesium and Sagittarius. And for me, that's with Leo, well, the fire signs, these two fire signs are very obvious for me, even when I didn't know a thing about them. Because magnesium is being stored in the biggest muscles, which are the thighs,
Mhm.
and they make explosive movements. All people who lift weights, they need a lot of magnesium or they do a lot of workout because it just stores into the muscles and it works with the blood. And if it works with vitamin D, which is vitamin D related to Aries and the Sun and Leo.
Oh,
Uh,
vitamin D is connected to the fire signs. Oh, yeah, it's
yeah,
the light, of course, the sun.
yeah, the light, yeah. And it's also related to, it's a fat soluble vitamin. And all the fats, I mean, if you take carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, the fats are related to the fire signs because it's the one fuel that burns. And it burns a lot. I mean, carbohydrates also burn, but fats are the most energy storing. The kilocalories of a fat is 9, of a
Yeah.
carbohydrate is 4 or 3, which is 3 times more. So the
Even
energy,
cars and engines run on fats. They're plant oils that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's take an example that the Sagittarius is not being able, or you have 3 planets in Sagittarius or Mars in Sagittarius, and it's just not, something's not with you. Something's not working enough. You're not able to open that travel thing, or to think about higher ideals, or to be loose and funny. I think Sagittarius are super funny,
Yes,
and
they
it's
are.
this. I think
Absolutely.
this magnesium relaxing your nervous system, relaxing your muscles, allowing you to rest very well. So you're able to manage these things, these psychological parts of Sagittarius. And they're really based in the diet. If you don't eat enough leafy greens, especially deep greens, you are just not taking in magnesium.
Mm,
And unfortunately, I'm looking into plant tissue analysis all the time, and magnesium is awful on the chart. People just don't know how to grow soil plants. And even when I and my family eat leafy greens and other things that are magnesiumly rich, it's just not entering because it's 7 times lower than what it needs to be on a scientific analysis. And then I say, okay, well, we're not able to do it. I gave 1 tablet of magnesium to my son for 1 week, 7 days, 7 tablets. I'm telling you, it had amazing results. He
wow.
was sleeping better. His immune system raised. He started throwing tantrums for nothing. It had an amazing effect. Then I
Oh, he
made
started
a re
throwing. He started throwing tantrums.
no, he stopped
Ah, okay.
throwing.
Go on, because magnesium is so calming. I know, and such
Yeah, yeah.
often they have this hyper attention deficit hyperactivity in magnesium.
Exactly. Exactly. And my son has is Sagittarius rising. So it's like, okay, well, let's just look into magnesium.
Can you instead spray magnesium? There's magnesium sprays you can spray on your legs and skin and
Yeah, here's the ugly truth of pharmacy. There is magnesium glycinate, magnesium picolinate, magnesium oxide, magnesium carbonate, blah, 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 blah. So many magnesium supplements. And if you don't know chemistry or you haven't done your homework, you're just buying, you're just throwing money on the floor. If you buy magnesium oxide or magnesium carbonate, you better cut stones and chew them. That's what you're buying in a tablet.
oh,
Magnesium has 2 forms, and this is about all the elements, by the way. That's why I say, if you want to do something and if you want to help yourself, I'm sorry to say it, make a consultation with me. I'm going to explain you everything because for 10 years I've been looking into these things, experimenting on myself, lost money, lost health because of eating improper magnesium, calcium, potassium. And now I've went through all of the rubbish and been able to really look into which are the most effective, when to take them, and something that science is not allowing information for us to know, how much. Because if we take, let's take vitamin D, the amount that they give us to take per day is 400 units. For vitamin D to work in you, it has to be 100 times higher. This is such a controlling industry.
40,000. 40,000.
40,000.
Yeah.
And what they say, at 40,000, you have issue with your bones. Yeah, that's true. That's why you add vitamin K2 with vitamin D3. And then you don't have any issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to go through the minerals. Then I wanted to touch on the vitamins because
Yeah.
I said all the fire elements, if they don't have enough vitamin D, it could be not because of the mineral that they're missing, but it could be because of the vitamin, because minerals are the bricks
Yes.
of a building, and then vitamins are the things that sticks the bricks together.
Yes.
And then you have the hormones which live inside the house. So it's this is a very basic foundation that I'm giving here, because then all the vitamin have relationship with the signs, and then all the hormones have in a different way. But the vitamins, it's my way of looking into them. Nobody gave it, nobody made a chart or anything. It's just through thinking and trying to build up on that concept. So the next one we mentioned, it's aluminium. Aluminium is everywhere. They're using it because it's very hard. I mean, it's you're able to work in it. It doesn't melt, which is just like Capricorn. It's just super hard. Aluminium is absolutely important for soil, for plants. It's just the amounts that we need. That's why people say don't cook in that kind of kitchenware, because you kind of take mineral aluminium into your diet. When you take it from plants or animals and you eat them, aluminium is not minerally based. It's lifted through a biochemistry. The
Mhm.
one in your pan is chemistry, the one in plant and animal is biochemistry, which is manageable for the plant.
And what about the one they spray from the planes? The
Yeah,
aluminum.
it's the connection between aluminium, silver, and a few other elements that are negatively affecting. It's yeah, again, it's falling on the plants, it's falling, you're breathing it in. It's not all right.
So because you do analysis, sorry to open here bracket, but because you do chemical analysis of all the soils that you work with,
Yeah.
you notice a lot more aluminum or something than normal? Because
Yeah.
in America, a lot of farmers are saying this.
Yeah, and that's because they're fracking a lot. Fracking brings aluminum up. When you have industry of aluminum and they flow into the watering tables of rivers, then they start watering with aluminum. So that's two places it comes up. When they spray from the
Spraying.
planes, which is already official, so we're not talking about any secrets.
No, that's weather geoengineering, as they say. But for me, it's way deeper. It seems like again occult forces. They know that aluminum is connected to Capricorn, which is Ahrimanic, which is about the calcification of the spirit and the disconnection from the spirit. So it's always much deeper than.
You know, when it was COVID, somewhere it came out the actual content of what they spray. And I only remember these two or three, which is silver hydroxide. I think it has silver, hydrogen, oxygen, aluminium, and a few others. But for me, it was so occult when I told to one of my best friends that we talk about some things. Aluminium, which is ruled by Capricorn, it's contacted with silver, which is ruled by Cancer. So they're using opposite elements to make
I just wanted to see you a bit because your
yeah, that's better.
faces
Did
don't show.
did you stop the sharing or
Yes, yes,
yeah,
because I
great,
want to
thank you.
watch you a
Thank you.
bit.
Yeah. The silver and the aluminum of Capricorn, they're connecting these two. So it's like a underground, they're using esoteric knowledge just of the elements, but again, they're connecting it like we mentioned for the opposites to work together.
Mhm.
Because silver is also very toxic in high amounts. And it's not I mean, now we have silver that everybody takes for the immune system, but if you start taking it too much, some people start taking, their skin goes different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and if we look at on etheric level, silver is the element that makes things over etheric. I had people in America telling me, man, a few days after they spray, our plants are going wild. Pumpkins are growing bigger and bigger. But you know what happens? They don't fruit
Oh.
because the etheric element makes leaves bigger, but the fruit needs fire element. So they overdo this, the moon power, and then they're missing the silver. the sun power to fruit element. So it's
The, yeah,
so complicated that I even think that people who are being the pawns of Ahriman, they are just doing something that Ahriman knows the
exactly.
consequences of, but not the actual conductor of the issue. I didn't want to go so dark.
Oh no, true. Like he works like the supernatural, not supernatural, but higher natural entities work through people on Earth, and very many of them, even unconsciously, most of them unconsciously, they just
Yeah,
get inspiration in science or whatever. So, like the good forces work with
yeah.
scientists, normal people. Sorry, carry on. So, aluminum, how do we get it, or do we
Yeah,
get?
no, no, we don't get aluminum. We only try to not get too much of it. And bentonite is usually a helping supplement to take it out from the system.
Oh, by the way, silica rich, like the atomos Earth, is also connects to aluminum. I guess
Yeah,
Aries is square to Saturn, so
yeah, yeah. That's how you take it off. Exactly. The automaceous earth is really good cleaning agent, absolutely. Then
zeolite,
we have,
bentonite, they all extract heavy metals like aluminum.
yeah. Then we have Aquarius with oxygen, which I already mentioned. Oxygen is usually just you purify your habitats, or you go into a habitat that's more purified, uh, or clean water because it has oxygen in water, H2O.
There is also things you can put in your water that brings more oxygen inside.
Yeah, I've heard some pills. Ah, you mean uh,
I forgot.
uh, there's water, mm, but
Oxygenated
yeah,
water.
oxygen water. Yeah, you just have to start with small drops. But this is it's a building up way of how you intake oxygen like that. It's a bit dangerous, I would say. You just read about it, or even the oxygen cabins that you go and breathe for half an hour with pure oxygen is very helpful to bring up energy levels or just to detoxify again. It opens up the cells, you breathe in more oxygen, and the blood flow gets better. And then we have chlorine with Pisces. Chlorine is a non-essential element, but it's an element that's contained again nearly everywhere, but not in the way we intake it nowadays, through water, through other substances, even in creams, shampoos, soaps, and etc. And it really works with the skin very bad. That's why some people say they want to take a shower with non-chlorinated water
Mhm.
because it really dries.
Mhm.
That it's how water dries your skin. It's amazing. And again, it's going on the low side of Pisces when they start getting addictions or delusions, having too much chlorine because it works on the brain part that works with the imaginative side.
You get
Because we,
lost in fantasies or unreal delusions or
yeah,
mental health issues.
yeah,
So what do they need to do? They need
it's
to,
clearing your water sources and having the enough sodium to potassium, which is the Virgo sign.
yes.
And again, just clearing up the system from heavy metals. So bentonite is a unique one, or other nites.
Yeah.
And what you mentioned about the diatomaceous earth. It's really about cleaning your diet a lot. And one thing that here on the table is not mentioned, iodine.
Ah,
Iodine is one of the biggest. Let me just take off the share screen now. Iodine, guys, is one of the biggest missing links to the health of women
mm-hmm.
and of men, but not as strongly because women, when they give birth or all their hormones, every hormone in the body needs two things basically, vitamin D and iodine. If you don't have enough of these two, the quality of your hormones and then of your lifestyle is just being lowered down. And iodine pushes away uh, chlorine, bromide, and a few others, which are very present in our life. Bromide is in every cushion, in every synthetic thing, every clothing, every phone, electrical, signaling gadget. So iodine is needed, not because we don't have it in the soils, but because we have it in our environment. Now I'm breathing in bromide from my computer and from my couch. So the toxicity of bromide is increasing and starts making hormonal problems. For me to manage that, I add iodine to my diet. But again, it's 150 micrograms, which is the RDA. And the Nobel winner with vitamin C, the person who invented vitamin C, synthetic vitamin C, he was taking 1 gram per day, which is
Iodine.
of iodine, which is 100 times more than the recommendation.
So
Because he understood
drink
back
it?
then.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
So do you drink it, iodine? Because
You
I put
drink
it
it
on my
in,
skin to
you
go.
put it on your skin. Yeah, that's another misleading sluch.
Uh,
Uh, so how do you translate that?
rumor,
Ah,
gossip.
rumor. That's a rumor which I also fell about. Iodine, when it's spread on the skin, it just oxidizes in the air.
Oh, so you
It
need to.
just makes the connection with the oxygen in the air, and they couple together and they fly away because they're good friends.
Oh. So
So
how do
I
you take iodine? Like in pills or drops, or what
in
is it?
drops, in drops.
One
Uh,
gram.
no, you don't take 1 gram. Wait. I was
Okay.
just mentioning who a very famous person who was taking 1 gram because he knew a recommendation is between 10 milligrams and 25 milligrams if you are healthy. If you have issues and if you have cancerous issues or you have had any um, autoimmune diseases, all the autoimmune diseases are based in iodine deficiency because they're the hormone making glands. And if you don't
Wow.
have iodine as a basis for the glands to be built first and then for them to build hormones, then you have issues. Then you have it's getting bigger, not because iodine is a lot, but because bromide is there, because chlorine is there, and they're just it cannot build the cells, so it becomes like a little bit like a tumorous cell. It just ends up and adds up and adds up instead of harmonizing. That's how the thyroid gets bigger.
So that's
So for
a
people with,
lot, 25 milligrams.
sorry,
That's how many drops? That's a whole spoon of iodine.
yeah, depends on what kind of solution you have. I have a solution of 5% pure iodine, and for me that's 5 drops, 10
Ah,
drops.
okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
5% pure iodine, 5 drops. Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to a good in America it's called Lugol's solution 5%. And 5% 1 drops is 6.2 milligrams. So you can start with that, building up slowly. I'm telling that to women especially because I grow food and for me it's important food to be healthy for children. So women before getting pregnant or while being pregnant, I always recommend getting at least 3, 4 drops because iodine is related to the capacity of the intellect,
Mhm.
how much you're going to be able to handle. But this is before you build up your nervous system. Me, I'm already gone. I cannot fix that. I'm gonna be IQ 90, that's it. But for future generations, it's good for them to be able to build up that nervous system.
What
So
contains iodine in the plants?
in
Which
the plants, it's usually all the seafoods again. And it's always seafoods because they live in the richest mineral source on the earth.
Mhm.
It's 87 minerals in the water all the time.
Yes.
And everything that lives, I mean, if you swim in the sea for half an hour, you're taking so much minerals throughout your skin. So it's almost you're having a meal.
That's what me and my husband, because we spend the whole summer in the Black Sea, and every time we feel off or down, half an hour in the sea, and it's you're like revived.
Absolutely.
And what is
It's
iodine? Which element would it be connected to or sign?
the iodine. Yeah, a very good one. I was trying to, I haven't seen anyone talking about it. Um, I haven't made my decision because it's a very female, for me, it's a very female related sign because of all the hormones together,
Mhm.
all the glands. And I mean, the blackness, you know how it tastes and how it smells. It's very strong.
Mhm.
Uh, so I haven't really made my mind with it.
Yeah.
I can say that I've related vitamin B1 to Pisces
Mhm.
because they're like sometimes they're very sluggish. They're very life is like, oh, I don't want to do anything. You know, when they're on the outside,
Yes.
when when you take vitamin B1 for 3 days, 2 tablets, man, it just jumps off. It just goes you out the roof. All that energy that's being slowed down there with the lymphatic system, it just opens up.
Oh, you mean like it doesn't create the sluggishness, the opposite, it helps you.
Yeah, yeah, it helps you. Yeah. So if you have issues for bringing yourself up,
Mhm.
and again, it's the sign being next to Pisces of Aries, of the bringing up together.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are the first basic elements on the table. There's few others that are related to some of the star signs, but I think that's a good start. Don't don't start taking in supplements immediately by thinking, guys, that you're gonna help yourself out because it could be a vitamin that you're missing or a mineral. And
So fire
there's
signs of vitamin D. Can you tell us a bit about the vitamins you said?
okay. Can
Fine.
I'm gonna share again. Is that okay? Because I
Yeah.
have another table. Now, here we have all the vitamins.
Mhm.
Vitamin E, B1, B2, la 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 la, etc. to K. There is some extra vitamins, B17 and etc., but we're not gonna enter in that specifics. So you can look, vitamin A is the eye vitamin. The, because everybody knows that vitamin A is good for your eyes. It's
Mhm.
fat soluble, so unrelated to a fire sign. And I would say here directly to Aries, because for me, he is the eye controlling sign, being
Yes.
on top of the head. Unfortunately, this is the only vitamin that I'm aware of that as a synthetic, it doesn't work at all. So you cannot find it. If it says vitamin A, 10,000 international units, which is a lot, it's usually not going to help you because it actually, when you take it in, it will draw out other elements so it can try to synthesize a natural compound of vitamin A. So it's best taken as a food in larger quantities or in foods which are grown very well. And that's eggs, dairy, carrots. But in carrots, it's not the full vitamin A. It's only half of the story because it needs another compound. So the richest vitamin A sources are meat, liver, fish oils, cod liver oil, and
And as
that
vegetarians, what
we
should
are we are screwed. I'm sorry. No,
all the
honestly,
blind vegetarians, all the short-sighted?
honestly, yeah, we are very short-sighted. We because I know that I do take cod liver oil supplements.
Yes.
Even with that, I am probably not taking enough. And I just try to grow very quality eggs because they do have it. But I mean, we're doomed.
Eggs and eggs again.
No, I'm kidding. Of course, you can get enough. This is one of the issues that most children, it's very easily to see that a lot of children are vitamin A deficient from very young age. If they don't eat enough eggs, which Eggs don't have enough vitamin A because they're not being grown very well, and the
Ah,
sheep.
we get from the women in the village around, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, I don't want to break it to you, but even the villagers are.
What about organic eggs, pasture raised?
If they're eating grass and bugs, that's fine. But usually in winter, they bring them into the
Yeah.
inside and start feeding them wheat and grain, which in winter usually don't have enough eggs because they don't lay every day because of the sunlight, which
Yeah.
is the relationship between vitamin A and vitamin D here. Eggs need bright light to lay eggs. That's because they need to make fat, they need light. And when they put lamps on indoors growing, it doesn't work the same way. Let's jump to the bad vitamin A deficiency. So yeah, guys, just look out if you have eye issues or dry skin. It's vitamin A is gonna help a lot. So some jump on the eggs a little bit more. Vitamin B, all the vitamin Bs, let's take them as one, are the ones who work with the nervous system as a coalition. And yeah, they're into the meat products again mostly, but grains and legumes are they have a lot of vitamin B vitamins. Also, um I forgot how it's called. Sorry about that. There is one specific product that's made from mushrooms that has a lot of all the B vitamins, and it's a natural source. I just forgot the name of it, so you excuse me on that. But the B vitamins are helping nervous breakdowns. And if you have weight loss issues, there is the vitamin B1, B6. They help uh, carbohydrate management. So it could be that you just need a B vitamin to help you make the energy. It's not because you don't have the energy, you have it, but you cannot enter it. You see energy metabolism, energy metabolism, energy metabolism, all the
Uh-huh.
B. And that's how they help the energy to go. And then their nervous system can say, oh, okay, good. Now I can enter the higher energy needing functions. So first we get the basics of energy metabolism, and then we release the nervous system. So the nervous system doesn't need to digest.
I know about studies about people that are so depressed they're catatonic. Basically, they can't do anything, they just stare at the wall. It's such kind of deep depression. They took them out with high amounts of vitamin B. I think it was vitamin B1 or a complex.
B1 there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in the next day, on the second day, they were lively, energetic. The moment they stopped them, they entered catatonic depressive state again. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of sense.
I have my wife, she has a little bit of Pisces there, but she's an Aries. And I've been trying to figure out, okay, which is the one that you're missing. And we tried this, we tried that, we tried this, we tried that. And then I said, it's a very simple one. It's B1. And she took two tablets one day and she said, oh my God, I'm taking this every day, every day. She starts drinking coffee. She really craved red wine sometimes. She never craves that. She really craved sugar, sweet, a lot of sweet. And I thought, oh yeah, she's
Energy,
Aries.
the energy, yeah.
Yeah, but she just needed to manage the energy. She's not overweight or anything. You cannot even see that she has a metabolism issue. And when she started taking it, everything cleared out immediately. And now she's taking only B1 daily.
Ready to
But
try this.
but again, because I know you're listening very deeply. It's the specific formula of B1. It's called benfotiamine. Because if you buy another vitamin B1, it could not work. Here on the table, it says thiamine, but I just copied it. Benfotiamine is the one that you need, and you need it on empty stomach in the morning. 3 tablets to
Benfotiamine.
begin with. And that's because
Size tablets?
they're usually in Bulgaria you have only two, so don't worry about it.
100 grams.
Yeah, they're 150 milligrams usually.
Okay. All right,
Uh,
order it
for-
as we talk.
yeah, yeah. 3 tablets is 450 milligrams, which is on the very low side. Usually people with big issues, they jump them to 2000 milligrams, which I'm just mentioning for other people who are listening, not for my
Three
wife
in
takes
the
2
morning.
tablets.
Two. Ash takes only two.
Yeah, you can start with 2. If you don't feel it, go to 4 after 3 days, and after 3 days to 6, and if it should kick in by then.
Perfect.
But it's on the empty stomach for the listeners, because if you take it with food, it competes with other B vitamins, and you might not feel the effect. Uh, do you
Hello? Oh,
finish?
yes,
Sorry about.
yes.
Can you hear me? Do you
Yeah.
want to finish? Because I know you.
Yes, yes. Carry on, carry on.
Okay. I'll give another 3 and then we will wrap up. Let me just share the screen real quick. So we have vitamin C. Vitamin C, I cannot. It's a very bright. It's another one like vitamin D, but it's bright in plants. It's not. You don't have vitamin C if you eat it from any animal substance. And for me, it's related to light. I would kick it with Libra, but don't quote me on that. Haven't made my mind. Vitamin C is really, really necessary for all the skin collagen. If you don't have enough vitamin C, you can drink collagens with liters and nothing will happen, because vitamin C needs to put um, the collagen together into a substance. And vitamin C, usually as ascorbic acid being sold in the pharmacy for 50 cents the pill, it's nothing. It's just acid. It helps a little bit because bacteria and fungi don't like acid, but it's not a real vitamin C. Vitamin C is a complex. It has copper inside and other substances that make vitamin C. And when you buy ascorbic acid, it doesn't have the copper, it doesn't have the other trace elements and minerals, which will make the real vitamin C. So if you're very sick, you can take vitamin C from the pharmacy. It will help a little bit, but it's not a supplement that you want to take daily, because it can even give you bladder stones
Where do you get it then?
and
From
kidney stones.
food?
You have some very good supplements that are purely plant-based. In Bulgaria, I found only one by now, but it shouldn't say added rose hips vitamin C. It has to say pure plant-based vitamin C. So read the label very well. And if you find that a good label, either you take it from your food. Peppers are very rich on vitamin C. Lemons, of course. Recently, I've did a good research on oranges and lemons and other famous vitamin C rich, and I saw 0% of vitamin C content
No,
in a fruit,
no.
which is outrageous,
How is
because
that?
0% is nothing.
The
That's
lemon?
because, sorry,
Even lemons that are so.
even lemons. That's because they throw a lot of nitrogen, bad practice, agricultural practice, and that depresses vitamin C synthesis in the cell membranes, which they don't know. And unfortunately, health advices are to take clean supplements. And if you have very clean and good people who raise food, that's fine. Good, go and take that food, just eat it. But I'm doing that and I'm trying. And again, I need to supplement. I know a very big and famous American agronomist who understood these things 100 times better than me. And he grows food, buys a very high quality food, and he says, even I supplement with certain elements because I know people are not able to fully make the highest standard of food growing because it's super hard. It's very hard. So vitamin C, again, from the guy who made it 20, 30 years ago. It's high doses. People treat cancer people that are in very developed stage with very high amounts of blood vitamin C because it just burns, just kills everything. And vitamin C is also another, it brings up your mood very quickly. It really, I've tried the test. I bought the vitamin C in the store and the one that I use, and I took in the morning 3 tablets, and then I observed, and then on the other one, and I observed just me, and it's just nothing on the synthetic. And
Yeah.
when I take it on the other day with the plant-based one, I was like, this is obviously activating something different in my biochemistry.
Wow.
So yeah, we have am I sharing? Yeah. We have vitamin E, vitamin K, but I just don't want to fill your head. I'll be happy doing another podcast because I think there was a lot of things being spilled. I do ask of the listeners, if you start doing these things, better write me an email or just spend some money on a consultation. You're not gonna regret that. I've had people here seeing me lively, explaining to them for 2 hours, doing certain things for 3 days, and they're just super happy with it. And of course, I'm looking at their chart first. I see how to uh, diagnose bestly and not to overtake 20 tablets per day so you feel better. It's just finer amounts and finer moments in your day.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Like you're one of those encyclopedia men. You can talk on, on education, on occult topics, past lives, the history of humanity, on agriculture, on elements, and now bioastrology even. Thank you for contributing to, and this is what you need to put everything together because everything is interconnected, not like we do now, niche specialist in just the eye specialist or nail specialist. So everything is connected. So thank you very much. Again, if anyone wants to connect with Theo, I'll put the link below. You can check out the playlist. Every single one of his lectures and interviews that we do is life-changing. I'm always excited. I learned so much from him. Thank you again, Theo, and thank you for everyone joining us. Oops.